Action! Hey everybody, welcome to ShortSalePowerHour.com. I'm your host, Kevin Kaufman. It's Fred Weaver.
From the Wizard of Oz.
Group 4610, Arizona's premier short sale team.
Some people call me the Tin Man.
And this is ShortSalePowerHour.com.
I'd call you Dorothy personally, but not on camera because that might make you mad at me.
Oh.
So go ahead, Kevin. What are we going to talk about
Okay,
today?
Scarecrow. Or whatever.
So hey, if you have no idea what
You
we're
must
talking
love that
about,
movie.
or you just turned off the show, then you need to go watch yesterday's episode and stop being a casual viewer and watch daily.
So today, we're going to talk about investors. Specifically, we want to talk about...
Oh, you mean like investors that go out and buy properties?
No, Fred. We're going to talk about the investors that own the loans that we're negotiating short sales on.
Oh,
So
you mean...
not the servicer, but the investor.
Oh, so you mean not the people that I'm actually calling every day on the short sale, but the people that are actually making the decisions and writing the guidelines?
You ever hear the investor?
The investor said?
The investor
Yeah, and 90% of the time it's made up.
That's all
the other
lie.
10% is true.
So we're going to talk about those investors today.
Okay.
So specifically Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Can we talk about Freddie Mac? Because they're on my fun list today.
They seem to have been a hot topic for us recently.
They have.
Let's talk about Freddie Mac first.
Well, first of all, how do you even find out who the investor is?
Well,
Let's address that real quick.
That's pretty easy. If it's Freddie Mac, actually, and Fannie Mae for that matter, if you Google the term Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan lookup, Fannie Mae loan lookup, Freddie Mac loan lookup, there's actually a search function on both of their websites
And
that allows you to enter some information about the home and find out if that loan is owned by that company.
You know what? We're such nice guys, and Dustin, who helps us here at Short Sale Power Hour, and Drew, I bet that they will actually Google it and put a link right here below.
Let's see if they do that.
Oh, they will.
Let's not even tell them about it. Let's just see if that happens.
Let's see if they're watching. Okay.
All right, Dustin. We're testing you, South Dakota.
So the easiest ways to find out if the loan on a short sale you're working on is owned by Freddie or Fannie is to do the loan lookup. But the next piece is to always ask every single time you call the bank, who's the investor on this file? Is there mortgage insurance? We talk about that over and over. But a lot of people get hung up when Freddie and Fannie aren't the investor and say, well, nobody will tell me who the investor is and blah, blah, blah. And I'll argue that it's just about persistence and asking over and over and over again.
And over and over and over and over.
Absolutely. And you know what? If the coordinator or if the phone rep won't tell you, ask the coordinator. Hey, what's the deal? You guys have delegated authority on this, or do you have to send it off to the investor? Oh, yeah, who's the investor on this one?
Yeah, it's just about asking.
I mean, it's just conversation.
How many times have we said that it's like you only don't have information that you want because you haven't asked for it?
Absolutely.
Like, all you have to do is ask.
And you know what? If you want to go as far as to have your homeowner write a letter and send it into the bank, I believe, don't quote me on this because I don't do it because we haven't found it necessary, but I believe your homeowner can sign a letter and send it into the bank, and that the bank has to disclose to them who the investor is on the file, who actually owns their note.
I believe not only is that true, but I think the same is true for mortgage insurance policies.
Absolutely. So if you're struggling with those, there's an idea. If you're doing that currently and having success, comment below.
Please let us know. So, I mean, you just gave away like 3 different ways to get the investor.
Well, and here's why that's necessary, because there are times when either the servicer goes to the investor and they come back and say no, and the servicer says, I'm closing your file out, and it's necessary to go to the investor.
Yes.
Or there's other times where, you know what, the investor's not listening to the servicer and they need to hear from you as the agent.
Yeah.
So I just had a file with Wells Fargo, actually, where they were really good, right? They're the servicer. They sent the stuff off to, we talked yesterday about one of my BPO disputes, and they sent the stuff off to Freddie Mac. But you know what's funny is that Freddie Mac didn't actually just email back to Wells Fargo. They actually emailed me directly and copied Wells Fargo.
Nice.
Further proof that if you're willing to get in there and actually provide some good data. And you know what? They agreed with me on my BPO dispute.
Imagine that.
Now, I've got a few other things to work out because they don't want to pay seller concessions right now, and they'd like the borrower to bring $3,000 into closing.
Yeah, well.
But, all I did was simply send them the borrower's hardship letter and their acceptance at the University of Hong Kong. Yes, I did say the University of Hong Kong.
I saw that
as
email.
in Hong Kong in another country, not like Hong Kong, Texas or something. This borrower has...
Dude, have you ever been to Hong Kong, Texas?
I haven't, but this borrower
has... the best barbecue.
You know what would be hilarious if there is a Hong Kong, Texas, and that's the picture for tomorrow's episode? I love seeing the picture every morning when I come into work.
You mean today's episode?
Today's episode. Well, when I come in after...
the picture, yeah, maybe.
Whatever. The point is that the borrower's moved to Hong Kong. He's going to school there for a master's degree for several years. He has no intention of even moving back to the States. He doesn't know if he's going to come back or not come back. One thing he's certain on, though, he has no money because he's a full-time student now and is not employed, right?
Right.
And he's not paying his mortgage. He's pretty solid on that. So I think it would be in Freddie Mac's best interest to waive the contribution that they're requesting and pay for the buyer's closing cost assistance that they've asked and mitigate loss.
And pay 10% commissions.
Well, that would be really great, but I'll work with them around 6 for right now. But what I also want to mention in going directly to Freddie Mac is what's funny is Freddie Mac agreed to pay like $1,500 worth of back paid HOA fees. Now, a lot of the servicers we've been talking to, including B of A,
well, we're not this stupid. We're going to pay HOA fees.
Yeah, when the investor is Freddie or Fannie, B of A has been saying, well, you're not a super lien state, the investor won't pay that. When I have an email today from Freddie Mac.
That's Gary Haygood's personal feelings.
Well, yeah, I don't really care what Gary Haygood has to say.
He personally
now,
feels like
I'm not mad. I'm not saying that because I'm mad at Gary Haygood. I'm saying that because Gary Haygood is not the investor on the file.
Yeah, it's not his money on the line.
I want Gary Haygood to simply submit it to the investor and let them make a decision.
Yeah. Imagine if that just happened that way and the servicer just did their job and didn't just create roadblocks all over the place.
All I'm saying is let the guy who owns the money make the decisions.
What a thought process.
So anyway, I think this episode started off by talking about how to find who the investor is, but I hope you enjoyed our little story here today around what the benefit is of working directly with the investor.
Yeah.
There's also some downfalls like getting past their silly roadblocks and mentalities, but I mean, welcome to the world of short sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
All right, you ready to wrap it up?
1,
2,
3.
Short sale power hour! Short sale power hour!
We have to go now.
Crush it, Freddie!